Okay, Chief IP, you there?
Yes, I am. I was
Chief
trying to get the camera on, but
Sakatu, you there?
hmm.
Yes, I'm here.
Chief Sakatu. Okay, very good, very good. And Chief Toby's there. I'd like to thank everybody for coming to this live. This conversation is focused on law and the treatment and improper treatment of our people. I've invited a few chiefs from different places to this panel, and they will discuss their own personal experiences, and we'll answer a few questions, and then we'll cut this very short. Again, I'd like to thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support for the American Aborigine movement. That's what this is all about. It initiated back in 2011, thereabout, and we've done a lot of headway into gaining the understanding of how to recognize and protect our. Somebody's crunching in the background. I think that's Lisa Toby. Chief Toby.
I'm not shouldn't be yeah, it shouldn't be me, but I can mute.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
mute.
if you would, yeah, if you would mute. Yeah, that was you, the baskets at the store. Um, Again, this movement has been in play for quite a time, quite a bit of time, and we've made heavy inroads into the protections and the development of tribal families, clan families, nation families, and that sort of thing. The American Aborigine movement is selected as Aborigine because it is the only term that is understood universally, and America is a term understood universally. So we don't have any glitches or any issues pertaining to those two words. And we've moved with those two words under international law, under the provisions of just cogents, customary international law, and treaties. We're able to move things under treaty because we literally have a treaty. We are the only indigenous family in the Americas with a treaty from the king of the Morty himself before he transitioned to a brighter place. No one else in the Western Hemisphere has an indigenous international treaty. We are the only entity with that treaty. The Maipuri Aruan Nation is the holder of that treaty. The National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People is a holder of that treaty. And all the participants registered with NAAIP, all the participants that are registered with the Maipuri Aruan Nation, and all the tribes that are registered with the Maipuri Aruan Nation are protected under that treaty. That treaty provides us international recognition, not a homegrown entity, but an international entity, because we were recognized by an internationally recognized entity. The United States recognized the Morty in the 1800s, 1860, thereabout, 62, recognizing them as the oldest known indigenous group on the planet. That's a heavy tag. We are under treaty with that group of people. We entered that treaty for purposes of protection, not immediate protection, because we were not able to protect them and they were not able to protect us necessarily. But the protection comes from recognition. We recognizing them and their plight, their fight for sovereignty, for autonomy from New Zealand. New Zealand is not their home. That's the home of the colonizer, Great Britain, who decided to use, as was done in Hawaii, physical force and conquer, just as happened in America. So we are conquered. Conquered means that there had to have been a war, conflict. Well, there was conflict. The Indian Wars talk all about it. We just have to research it. But beyond that, we have done these researches. We have brought ourselves to a place of solid protection inside the confines of what's called the United States. And we have been, over the past 3.5 years, filing torts against the government, not knowing what we were doing, but learning from them, because they had to combat us. And every time they would respond to us in emotion, we had to respond back to them, which means we had to do the research to come to the conclusion of the response in that motion. After 3 years of doing that, we've been able to make headway and reach points where others have not been able to reach. This is why we invite everyone to join in some capacity with the Maipuri Orowa Nation and with the American Aborigine movement, because we have found the way. We no longer have to worry about the government screaming immunity. We've overcome immunity under international law, under the Pake Habana. We have truly aspired to where they no longer question whether or not the court has the jurisdiction. We've shown the courts how they have the jurisdiction, because the courts have practiced so long legislative venue, doing whatever the legislature says to do in the courts. So that's what the courts have been used to. We have brought them to the international venue, to where they no longer can hide behind the legislature. And that's why I've invited my friends, my fellow Congress members, fellow tribes members, and tacticians to the table this morning to share their story, to share their personal information concerning their fight and their plight with the government. Cases that we have won, we have overcome, and we're set to overcome many more. Organization is necessary. Administration is necessary. This is why you saw the post a few days ago with myself and Prime Minister Dr. Prince Sar Armiel of the Edenic Hebrew Foundation. We are coming together. I'm not a Hebrew, but I love my Hebrew brothers and sisters. I'm not a Moor, but I love my Moorish brothers and sisters. You belong to me. You belong to me. And I've made a way for you. And I will continue to make a way for you. For all of you. Doesn't matter about your religion, your social makeup or background. We're putting in place the necessary foundations so that we can facilitate all of the thousands of you that have been knocking at the door over the past 5 days. And I really do appreciate that. This is a real serious movement. And we've not marched one day on the street, because we don't have to march on the street. We march into the court. And we ask them to politely sit down and follow the law. And when we all can reach a point to where we can walk into their system and say, sit down, then we have overcome. We have reached a level of rejuvenation, repatriation. That's the real benefit. We don't want anybody to repair anything. We don't want reparations. We can repair ourselves as we have been doing. So no help is needed in repairing anything. We need to be repatriated to our lands, to ourselves, to our identity. As I stated earlier, we filed suit against the state of Illinois in a case related to Dr. York's land in Georgia. In that case, in their defense, the state of Illinois acquiesced that they recognized the problem and had put things in place to repair that. And all we had to do was go and secure a particular form. Well, this week we did go down and made an attempt to secure that form. Do we have that form?
Yes, I'll go grab it.
Thanks. After a brief confrontation, naturally, at the Department of Vital Statistics in Chicago, we don't have much footage on it because they were just raving all over the place. We do have some footage on it that we'll share maybe later on today. But the point is, we went there to the Vital Statistics in Chicago and requested the form, which provides an individual an opportunity to reconstruct and re-identify himself, his race, classification, leading to proper nationality. And they told us that they didn't have such a document. Ultimately, they gave us a document that said that if you have a U.S. ID, with that U.S. ID, you can then go ask a court to give you permission, and it's up to the judge. I consider that a trick by the state of Chicago, by the Attorney General, who's known by Kwame Raoul. He's from Haiti. I can understand why he's fighting so desperately, because he thinks that he may get caught up in something. But he doesn't have to worry about that, because that's why we're here. We're here to stop all that with indigenous people, Haitians, Jamaicans, Caribbeans, all of them. Everything in the Western Hemisphere belongs to the Maipuri under treaty. And as the people recognize that, they will begin to do the right thing, because we're in that golden age of realization and of action and movement. But the state of Illinois' Attorney General, he lied. This form is nothing that the Maipuri Oromo Nation can use, nor any other indigenous group that I'm aware of, because it continues to place you within the system of the United States. So we're going to demand with the Attorney General and with the governor specifically that these misclassified people be protected under Maipuri immediately, and be protected at the expense of the state of Illinois, providing the necessary finances for enumeration, reassessment of indigenous people, Indians, natives in the territory, because they forgot to count us. That's called neglect. And not only did they forget to count us, but they altered the documents so that they would not have to count us. That's fraud. Constructive fraud, as a matter of fact. And it's because of that constructive fraud that we have the state of Illinois by the neck, to dangle it the way that we feel it's necessary to dangle it to gain the freedoms that we need. So this is what we're doing with the state of Illinois. We're demanding that they recognize the indigenous people through this particular vehicle that's already established. Ma'ipuri travels back and forth throughout the insular territories, the Virgin Islands, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, with our national ID. We're demanding that at this time that be allowed to everyone in the state of Chicago that fits the profile as a subject of fraud and as a plaintiff in future torts concerning these frauds. This is what we intend to do state by state. We're already in Mississippi. And Mississippi is beginning to show signs of acquiescence. We're in the state of Illinois. We're in the Virgin Islands, and we're in Michigan. We're already there. So we're in a different place than most tribal groups, tribal institutions. I love what they're doing. I love the support. I love the fact that they're all a part of the American Aborigine movement. There was no movement 15 years ago. And I was considered a lunatic when I began fighting over in Memphis, Tennessee, where after 3 years, I won against Memphis, Tennessee, and they lost 362 police officers after I was able to move forward an investigation with the Department of Justice against the police department, and we won. See, there's a way to do things. There's a way to win. We have to identify properly when we're asking for an escalation of jurisdiction. In the lower jurisdiction, anything is accepted. And there's another jurisdiction where things have to be a little bit different at the federal level. And then there's the international jurisdiction that has to be invoked. But you have to have the understanding of how to invoke that. And that's what we've done. We've come to a point to where we've been able to invoke international jurisdiction, and the judges are stunned. These are federal judges appointed next to go to the Supreme Court. These are the district court judges in Washington, D.C., the same judges that Donald Trump has his fights with concerning what's going to go and what's not going to go, and concerning his executive orders. We're at the top of the ladder, communicating on a weekly basis with Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office. That's who we're talking to. Department of Justice on these cases. This is where you find your protection, at this level, not at the lower level. When our people get into incident, it is our responsibility to deal with the courts on their behalf. And that's what we do. We deal with the courts on their behalf. I'd like to introduce Chief Lusa Toby. Are you on the line? Chief Toby, I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted. I think he disconnected. All right, I'll go to the next chief, Chief Sakatu. Chief Sakatu is a very dear friend of mine. He's a congressman for the Ma'ipuri Oromo Nation. His region includes most of the Caribbean territories. And he has a very, very in-depth job that involves not only educating the natural inhabitants, but fighting off the system that does not want him to educate the local and the natural inhabitants of the Virgin Island territory specifically. He's fought a diligent fight where he's won his case. We brought him through that. We grabbed him as if he was a little brother, and we didn't let go. We don't let go. We don't let go of any brothers and sisters. When we're entangled, we don't let go. We're like pit bulls, we don't let go. And the objective is to overcome the imbalance of legalese that's thrown upon our people on a regular daily basis. So we all have to reach a point to where we understand legalese. It's the most important part of the job of tribalism, unfortunately. But that's why we're fighting, so that we can reach a point to where we don't have to fight this way anymore. That when they see the Maipuri ID card, they move on to pass, unless a real crime has been committed. Not some trivial violation of traffic interaction, didn't put on a signal, didn't turn right, you ran a red light. Those are not crimes. So we don't adhere to those things. Those are legislative codes that do not refer to us. That's a legislative jurisdiction. And states have no jurisdiction over indigenous people, or Indians as they call it. And because of that, we have those protections in place. The state is in error with every indigenous person that walks into its courtroom. It's supposed to turn and send them back the other way. But do they do that? No, they prosecute and call you crazy and want to give you a mental evaluation. Well, we're moving to a point to go ahead and make sure that they get mental evaluations. Because these judges are off, completely off. And we have established case law precedents to insist that they get evaluations. It's in the law. It's the level of law that you practice and move on. So Chief Sakatu has been in this fight for 3+ years, fighting for the island territories and himself. And he has overcome. And he's on this panel to share himself with you. You got the floor, Chief.
Thank you for having me, Prime Minister. Greetings, everyone. I am Chief Makarika Sakatu. I was a fan of the working organization.
I can barely hear you, Chief. If you could come a little bit closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's much better.
Better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I would like to share some of my experiences that I have encountered with some of the police officers and the officers here at St. Thomas Virgin Island, where rights were being sampled on without due process, and also being threatened by officers who stay here to protect us and to protect those rights that they're infringing upon. I just want to say this movement is amazing. Chief Ashwima, Prime Minister, you are great. I'm so happy to have you in my life, because these experiences that I have been going through, if I haven't met you or have any conversation or this relationship that we have today, I know I would be lost. And I just want to say, first and foremost, Thank you for opening my eyes. I was asleep. I was blind to these basic fundamental rights that is due to us as human beings. So I just want to let you all know that the fight is on out here in the Virgin Island, and we're not going to bow to any colonization or official oppression from authorities. We're keeping the fight. We're building our groups. I'm about to set up our flag for the government house to be official, so that everybody will understand and know that we have our government house where it's right here on the hill where everybody can see and see it. Also, in my past, I was arrested on some charges. I was racing without proof. Judges and attorneys were all against me, conspiring for my demise. All because I didn't know basic rights. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to actually share these experiences that I get encountered, and let you all know that the fight out here is an ongoing one, and we're staying true, and we're not going to give up. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Chief Sakatu actually had to fight with his public defender. We had to actually fight with the court to do what it was supposed to do. The public defender was afraid to impress upon the judge, Judge Tejo. She's one of the judges in the Virgin Island territories. Judge, I think it's Sigrid Tejo. Sigrid Tejo is her name. And we had another case that Miss Tejo was involved in, and that was related to one of our other chiefs in the territory that couldn't be on the call this morning because this is the day that he does his produce selling to the marketplace. That's how he makes his living on Saturdays and Sundays. But Chief Wade was accused of killing a former police officer, just recently retired or something like that, and he was locked up. I found out about it immediately, but because I was having problems of being run off the island territory by all sorts of individuals in the Virgin Islands, that I had to leave him, and I had not yet gained enough understanding of how to address his issue of being now incarcerated for the murder of this former police officer. So I had to sit back in my home in Michigan, in Flint, and really do the research and find out how I could even assist. Once I did assist, and I was able to serve communications against the court, to the court, and the public defender at that time was Adam Christian, who's currently, I think he's on lineup to become a judge. That's a very corrupt system over there. But at any rate, Christian did not want any tarnishment on his record, so he knew that he could not run from his job as a public defender because he knew that I was aware of the means of how to lien him and have the IRS enter an investigation against him for money laundering and fraud. And he knew that I knew how to communicate with the Treasury Department concerning the monies that he had received from the Federal Public Defenders Association or program for felony cases a public defender is paid between $11,000 and $13,000. And it doesn't matter if he represents you for 3 days and get you to plea bargain, or he quits and has another attorney assigned, then that other attorney assigned gets money as well. It's a game that they play. Switch and get paid, switch and get paid, and pay off the others who are in line to be paid. At any rate, because of the fact that I expressed to Adam Christian that he was subject to be reported to Department of Justice and others, he did his due diligence and he enforced upon the judge that she had to provide certain hearings and certain provisions for Chief Wade. The police officer entered Chief Wade's land when they were in an argument. And because he was on Chief Wade's land, Chief Wade registered with the Maipuri, he's Arawak. Because he's indigenous and he was on his own territory, Indian on his own land, and the Virgin Islands follows U.S. law, as an Indian, he was protected on his own land, and the officer was out of place for being on Indian land. And what happens on Indian territory is according to the Indians controlling that territory. And as an American Aborigine descendant, Chief Wade was on his land, Indian territory. And he had every right to defend himself. It didn't matter who it was. And Chief Wade was released. It's been 2 years now that he's been released. A year after I got involved with the case. So there is a method to the madness of dealing with these courts. And I'm thankful that we have Congressman Chief Sakatu in the Virgin Islands doing his due diligence to raise awareness and to fight the injustices that not only have taken place with him, but with others on a daily basis in that territory. Corrupt judges. The most corrupt that I've met has been Andrews. What is his name? Alfonso Andrews. He's a complete psychotic. For months and months and months after we sued him, he denied for months that he was a U.S. citizen, until we put him in a corner and this lying judge finally admitted that he was a citizen of the United States, subject to U.S. law. But by then the judge had gotten irritated and I didn't know how to file what I was really trying to file at that time when I sued. And the judge ultimately dismissed my case, but he gave me instructions on what to do. And from those instructions, I've now brought back with a vengeance of protections and understandings of what they meant in failure to state a claim and jurisdiction. I well understand those things now. And there is no immunity when you have crimes against humanity. Period. There is no immunity for a judge when he operates in his own personal capacity. Ultra vires. He loses his immunity. And that's what most judges do. They operate in their own personal capacity, out of jurisdiction, out of line with their job and with the Constitution. So we've learned how to do those things. And this is what we're working with diligently with Congressman Sakatu in the territory of the Virgin Islands to protect them, so that this leads to the protections in Puerto Rico, and it leads to protections in America. The Virgin Islands is ground zero. That's where we got shipped back and forth from and to. The Caribbean, not Africa, but Caribbean, shipped back and forth to trick our minds, not realizing that we were still the same old blood people, the same old blood Arawak living in those territories. Our Prime Minister, Congressman of the Prime Minister's Council, there are three of us. The third one has not been appointed yet. Myself and Prince Sar Armiel are the current prime ministers for the Maipuri Oromo Nation. And we chose that because it belonged to them. We've taken it from them. And we're restructuring it the way that we want it to be in law, in recognizing us in law. So we have a Congress and we have prime ministers. So we're not the average law, legal, structured nation. We're different. And because we're under treaty, we're sovereign. We're recognized sovereign nation of tribes, over 5,000 plus tribes, including Mexico, under the protection of the treaty. We have no choice in the matter as to who's indigenous or not. We are endeavored to protect the rights of the indigenous people of the Americas. That's what the treaty with the Morty represented. That's why it was shared with me. That's why I became a signator of the treaty and holder of the treaty. I'd like to introduce another chief. He's from Mississippi, or Mississippi. His name is Chief Api, and Chief Api has been fighting a battle with the state of Mississippi concerning their right to even determine whether or not he was Indian. In essence, with him not being Indian, they would then have a jurisdictional problem with him because of his Indianism, indigenousness, being an American Aborigine. Chief has been in his fight and in other fights. And Chief has a very extensive background. Chief Api is a profound, he's a profound instructor of Moorish science, Egyptian science, and other sciences. And now that he has overcome and smacked the hell out of Mississippi and won his case just a couple of days ago for attempted murder, it's a newfound fight with him. He's a kung fu fighter now. He's like me. He's Bruce Lee. We're not going to be defeated. We want you to join us in not being defeated. Our people need the brains and the analyzations of our Moorish brothers. They don't know how to let shit go. They will dig and dig and dig and question and question and question. And we need that. And at this particular time, don't have to question a whole lot. We just act. We act upon the system. We act upon the courts. We put them in check. 100%, everybody at the same time. What we have belongs to us, not the Maipuri, but us, all of us indigenous people. All we have to do is just stand up and take part in it. Don't complain because I say you should give a $15 donation to go on a base camp so that you can get all of the free information that I provided after years of research. Don't complain. Someone has to administer that site and load up information. Choose through hundreds of thousands of documents as to which ones would be the best for you to learn what you need to learn when you're on base camp. It's provided for you. This is the movement. The American Aborigine movement. It's our responsibility to provide information to you so that you can move forward within the movement, so that you can protect your bases, protect the foundations of your family. That's what this is all about. Some people say I'm a grouch. Well, look at my hair. This shit's standing straight up on my head. Like something is wrong. But damn it, my hair is reaching towards the sky. It's an antenna. And I get downloads. So you can't mock what you don't understand. I didn't choose to be here with you. I'm here because I was sent. So I'm going to introduce our Mississippi Congressman, Chief Api, to share himself and his story with you. I yield.
How you doing, Chief? I mean, how you doing, PM?
Very good.
It is a surprise and an honor to be a part of your panel today. First of all, I'd like to give all honor to the Most High. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to be a part of your team. It's been an honor to be under your umbrella. Uh, I've been on this fight since I was age of 14, and that's coming into the master masonry. But I didn't really understand the truth about what was being hidden and the trickery that was going on with our laws and our system here in America until 2008. And at that point, it was, I can say that that entire fight would fall under the laws of where there is no victim, there is no crime. All of those speeding tickets and citations, all of the codes, regulations, and statutes, those things we can easily learn to fight. But I would say here today that anytime you're fighting a criminal charge, you're gonna need a team. You're gonna need a team, and it's gonna need to be a team that know what they're doing. And I would here to say that all my experiences up until 2022 had been under the guise of there was no victim. So it's easy to be a municipality or a state when there is no victim, or in my case, a purported victim, a liar that puts charges on you, and then the state picks them up, and you have to fight these charges. So I mean, to fast forward, I was thrusted into this situation in 2022. My name is Appy Alamaru, Appiniwa, Mississippi. That means red tree, love charm. I stand on my square, and you ain't gonna put me off my square. And this is the attitude you got to have before you even come to your team. Because you standing in court, they're gonna say you pro se. But the proper term is impropriate persona. You gotta stand on your own square as a man, and you gotta have it in your head. I'm just being honest. If you think you're gonna fail before you get started. I was fighting against this. I mean, I always have had the upper hand because I always knew the law. But when I'm standing in a situation where I did not know, that's where PM came in. PM had he had the prescription that I didn't have, and I was just blessed to be able to. My parents taught me how to follow instructions and how to respect, and I think once I presented my case to PM, and he got and he took his attention. He focused his attention on it because he's busy. But once I was like raising my flag, I need your help. I need your help because I was fighting it by myself, and I was making mistakes. But I was fighting the only fight I knew how to fight, and it was still groundwork laid in the quarter in the record that he was able to use once he took part in this fiasco. But I'd say that yes, PM had a prescription, and that prescription was that uh, we are going to challenge jurisdiction, and not only that, we're going to challenge each agent of the state, city, state, and county. We're going to challenge them individually. And because in my case, I was dealing with a corrupt, I was dealing with a corrupt police officer, Detective Bruce Triplett. I was dealing with a insufficient uh, ambulance chaser, attorney Robin T. And so, but with me, okay, so the day of my arraignment, I'll say from day one. Anyway, let me back up a little bit. So the Meru Moripuri tribal complex, uh, our income is generated from lease space to private members, and these members they facilitate their own business after they pay us for lease space. So that's how we make our money. So I made as the executor of this tribal property, I made the error in letting the devil on the property. And that devil came in the form of three Nigerians.
Yep.
And that Nigerian's name is Shine Ola in Jackson, Mississippi.
Shinola.
He has been a scourge on the city since he been there. And if you go on his Facebook page, you will see about 1,000 testimonies where he stole and messed over folks in the city of Jackson. So and I don't even have to speak on that no more. The facts is the facts. So uh, after I acknowledged the fact that he had to leave the property, I went through the proper eviction proceedings, but he thought that he could actually put his hands on an Arawak American Indian and get away with it. And so the Most High uh, curved my hand from killing it, and the charges that resulted from that encounter with the devil was, and Chief, I must correct you. I mean, a PM, I must correct you. It was not attempted murder. It was 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of shooting an occupied dwelling, which
Okay.
which carried 50 years. They offered 10, and I told them to kiss my ass.
I see.
So the way the chief approached that, okay, after I was constantly denied and ignored my originally rights under federal law, that those rights were constantly ignored. I'm American Indian. You niggas sit down. And what they did was over a 3.5 year period,
3 years.
3.5 years, what they did every time I raised a legitimate argument, they would just do a reset. They'll do a continue. And we continued this for 3.5 years. And every time we go back into court, it's a new day. It's like a reset. Like this was no court of record. So every time you come in there, they done forgot what they said last year. So we wasn't going to court but once or twice a year. I had an ambulance chaser that wind up stealing in evidence. Never, she didn't even file for a motion discovery. And so once the chief came in, he filed constructive fraud against my first ambulance chaser. Uh, demanded that she be fired. And that's what started the ball rolling in the state of Mississippi, knowing that we wasn't playing. The second letter that went out was straight to the court's record, and it was a motion, or it was a motion for emergency hearing. A motion for evidentiary hearing, which I had been denied, and we were going on into the third year, and I hadn't even had a hearing for them to prove their jurisdiction, so we could even move forward. So Chief saw that they wasn't reacting fast enough, so he went ahead and filed, helped me administer filing alien tort in Washington, D.C. against the state of Mississippi. Hold up. Wait, it was like it was like, hold on 1 second.
It was definitely against the state of Mississippi. And the judge and the governor and the vital statistics, the health department, all those, because they were complicit. Complicit because see the thing is, Chief, as you've heard me say, simply by them disregarding your statement that you were indigenous meant that they themselves were now making a decision to determine whether or not you were indigenous. And if they thought you were indigenous, they would not proceed. But if they thought you were not indigenous, then you're going straight to the hammer. And that's where they take everybody, straight to the hammer, because they are making the decision as to who is indigenous and who is not, in violation of the Constitution for the United States of America. Understand? I said the Constitution for the United States of America. There is also a United States Constitution. That's a separate and corporate constitution. But when you're operating under the original organic constitution, and you know the other methods of how to deal with these cases, then you present them before the judge, and the first thing that you want the judge in Washington, D.C. to determine, you want him to declare who has the authority in American agencies to determine who is or is not an Indian. And there's no agency in the United States, period, that the Constitution gives authority to determine who is or is not Indian. And that's where we are today. I'm back to Illinois. Illinois made the determination that they were going to trick indigenous people into different classifications. And this is the same thing that happened with Chief Api down in Mississippi until he was able to file tort against the state of Mississippi and against the judges for making a decision that was in violation of the Constitution. But see, there are a lot of components that go into that. He also had a treaty. He also had other validating documents to show that he was a beneficiary of being Indian. You don't just go into court and just scream to the judge, this court doesn't have jurisdiction. No, you better explain to the court what you mean by that. Well, the court doesn't have jurisdiction because it doesn't have subject matter jurisdiction, or it doesn't have personam jurisdiction. Well, why does it not have subject matter jurisdiction? That's the first thing. You are the subject. Personam, you are the person. You're both of those, because he doesn't have jurisdiction in either case because you are Indian. So once he does not have a personam jurisdiction, and you raise that, that's the first thing you're saying. You don't have jurisdiction over my person. Why you don't have jurisdiction? Well, because I'm an American Indian, or I'm an American Aborigine, or I'm a citizen of the Maipuri Arua Nation, and we're a treaty nation. Well, when he moves beyond that without even investigating, then he's operating in his own capacity, and he just lost his immunity. But you have to know how to slam him on his immunity. That's the key, slamming him on his immunity. And they will buff and they will puff up like frogs, and they will rattle chains and all kinds of things to scare you, to make you think that they're going to do something that they're not going to do. But because you think that's what they're going to do, then you admit to whatever it is that he wants you to admit to. You cop a plea. You allowed that public defender to walk off with $13,000, and he hasn't done anything for you. The buck stops here. In all instances, when I first met Congressman Sakatu, he talked to me about child support situation that he was dealing with and that he was unable to move about. Well, we chopped that child support situation in the bud immediately. It was done, gone. That's one of the easiest things. See, states don't have the right to employ child support restrictions on individuals who are part of tribes. And if they don't have permission from the tribe to enter into that type of relationship, they can't do it. So they're operating under color of law. They're operating under trickery with you when you are tribal people. Because Maipuri is in a position to sustain all of the questions of sovereignty, of treaty. We don't deal with any of the United States treaties that it did with those with the Native Americans. Those are congressional tribes. We're not them. They're controlled by Congress. We are not. We're sovereign indigenous nation. And with that sovereign indigenous nation, we're able to provide sovereign protections and jurisdiction for our people. That's who we are. We're different from them, totally different from them, and from everyone else out there. Because we're not bound to the United States in any manner. We're off land. We're truly off land of the United States. Every other tribe in this country is on land. We're off land. We're Maipuri. We're the people of the forests, of Abaya Ayala, the pure blood people. Abaya Ayala, that was the name of the Americas before it was changed to the Americas. Abaya Ayala. So all the Haitian brothers, all the Cuban brothers, we're all Arawak and Siboney and all the other different names that went within the territory. Taino, Carafuna, we're the same people. Lukono, Luko people, Lukokari, we're all the same people. We have to unify. And the clearest thing that we have for unification is our identification. That's the first line of defense. When we throw it up, that ID, if they disrespect it, they got to deal with me. They have to deal with the government now of Maipuri. Just as the government of the United States would have to deal with an individual who pulled up a Russian passport. They'd have to deal with the state of Russia. Well, we're little guys to them. But hell, we encompass hundreds of thousands of people in the Americas, in the United States alone. So we're very powerful. We just have to unify. Wave the same flag. You don't have to get rid of your flag, but snatch up the flag of the Confederation that holds a treaty. That holds a treaty with Malaysia as well, economic. Hold up the flag. Stand on the Constitution. The moment that you do that, you're no longer a U.S. citizen. That's what U.S. law says. If you take oath to another nation's flag and constitution, you're no longer a U.S. citizen. And when you come with Maipuri as a tribe, you're sovereign. You're a sovereign tribe with those powers of autonomy, not controlled by the Maipuri Federation, but controlled by your tribal family. 100% controlled by your tribal family. We assist you in helping to sustain your tribal family. It's called sustainable existence. That's what we are after. We're not after a few reparation dollars to say that we're part of a slave trade structure. No, we're descendants of prisoners of war. That's who we are. Chief IP, if you like to add something else, or Chief Sakatu, you can feel free to just interject, and then we'll open the floor for a few questions. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll open the floor.
I would like to say one thing that I have noticed through my experiences in court. I noticed that a lot of the young brothers and sisters don't know the law, and I like to point out some examples that they can go and read that maybe can empower them a little bit. All right, Mississippi. Okay, if you whatever state you're living in, you got to go by the case law in that state for it to be valid in your court case. You can't go and say I'm gonna pull something from Alabama and say I'm in Mississippi and it's gonna stand. You know, unless it's a federal situation where it's U.S. versus something. So, if you in Mississippi, you need to know the Mississippi State Constitution. Now, example, Mississippi State Constitution, Article 3, Section 32. The enumeration of rights in this Constitution shall not be construed to deny and impair others retained by and inherent in the people. Meaning that the state can't change your inalienable rights in the crimes. If you already had the right, if you already sovereign, they can't make you no citizen. However, in the state constitution, it says that you will be perceived to be a citizen of the state unless you otherwise declare. So you got to go and get your paperwork straight, and you got to go and notify the state of Mississippi that I'm not a nigga, I'm not colored, I'm not black, I'm not African American. I am whatever your grandmama tribe, your granddaddy tribe, and then you add American Indian on the end of that. And in this case, and in my case, and in the PM's case, it's Arawak American Indian, not Native American, but American Indian. You got to make these distinctions and get y'all words right.
I'm gonna make one little injection into that, Chief. We have to make sure that see, the word Indian, as you know, came from the European in identifying us, and it just continued on as a tag. But we're not Indian at all, so we don't ride into that colonial concept, and which is why we selected the word Aborigine. And some folks call it and say ab is means that no, and you know, I've you know, that it should not be Aborigine, that it should be original. Well, Aborigine is a term that is common to the world, and in moving through the world and traversing through this legal process, we have to reach a position of commonality. And the world understands the word Aborigine as being a word that refers to the original people, or people in a original place, or the original people in a particular place prior to colonization. So that's why we use the word Aborigine. And we use American simply because that's another common word that applies to a territory prior to colonization. So we have to look at those things as being markers that give us a predated position. But when we say American Indian, that's a construct, because the United States adopted that term to be a term of its own because of the word Indian. That's what they have. The Native Americans don't even have the right or position to say that they are American Aborigine, truly Aborigine, descendants of that. And the United States is aware of that, which is why they are recognized Native Americans. So I just want to throw that in there in your conversation. I yield. You can continue your conversation, Chief.
Chief, I mean PM, I will conclude and I will concede to definitely what you said. Uh, just let me add that the reason why I take on that appellation is because of the way they have it titled with the IRS and with the Social Security Administration, uh, the DMV. Once you get this status on in their books labeled as a American Indian, then you will go up under the exemption of Indian not taxed.
Well, see, I have to, in response to that, I have to say that they don't control shit that we do. They don't control a damn thing that we do.
Yes,
And
sir.
we are a foreign country. And because we are a foreign nation, we should not adhere to shit that the United States has for itself because it's not for us. It's not for Russia. It's not for China. It is not our fault that they have a nation within a nation for the very first time. We are a sovereign indigenous nation, and I don't need their remedies of IRSism.
Yes, sir.
The properties that we live on are properties that are controlled under 18 USC 1151 and 52, Indian Territory. So when they can overcome 18 USC 1151 and 52, then they can tax me. But if they can't overcome that, they can't tax me for shit. It is against their own law to do that. So we try to utilize limited U.S. legalese in our communications and in our fights with them because we are foreigners. And should we try to inject ourselves into their rhetoric and their doctrine and their laws, then we're now succumbing to their jurisdiction. We will never respond to them in that way. We are not within their jurisdiction, and we will never concede. We will never concede to that. We are in their jurisdiction. And when you start talking about the IRS, then we have to recognize that if we have a Congress, if we have a government, where's our own damn IRS? Where's our own funding? Where's our own legalese? If we have these things are yet to be built, and they should be built by people like you. People like you who are concerned and speak about the IRS. We need to create our own monetary system. That takes people. But it takes people aligning themselves together in unification. And before we can even begin to start thinking about how to do that, we got to first identify ourselves. And once we identify ourselves as being unified in some capacity or another, then we can start looking towards, let's go and acquire some land because we are the same in nature. And when we can acquire some land that belongs to us as a national entity, then we have our own system of codes and regulations. We're Indian not taxed. They said that when you live on the fringes of society and you don't participate in the government of the society as an Indian, you are considered now Indian not taxed. But the moment that you vote in their system, go get some food stamps, you're not Indian not taxed. You're Indian to be taxed because you're living off their system. We're supposed to be self-sustaining. So we don't need their IRS. We don't pay anything into them. We have to train them. We have to train them that we are a sovereign entity living within their territory, in our own jurisdiction. We have to force the banks to open its doors to us if we want to operate at those banks. Let's sue them. The provisions are already in place to do that. They are supposed to allow you to open up a bank account, whether you have a social security number or not. It's in the federal code. They are simply supposed to take your information and then file it away with the Treasury Department and the IRS. But they don't do that. They tell you, no, I'm not going to open your account. Well, we should file suit. Now that we have overcome jurisdiction, now that we have overcome them having immunity, this is what we should do. We should never succumb to anything that they lay out there and say that we have to succumb to it. And Chief, you're one to know that if we or I in this process had ever succumbed to the bullshit that they were saying in your case, you would not be here today.
That's true.
It would be totally different. It would be a totally different story.
Yeah.
But we did not concede to nothing that they said. We stood firm. And even though you whacked me across the head numerous occasions because you were concerned, because they were constantly badgering you, and all I said was, Chief, don't bring that shit to me, because we got them. You just don't understand, but we got them. And at the end of the day, what happens? The prosecutor realizes that they're got, and he walks out of the case because we've sued the judge. We've sued the state. We sued all of them under the constitutional guises, under international law. That's how you do it. That's how we do it. That's how we put a crimp on these illegal violations that are coming against our people by their court system. We can overturn it. We have enough smart brothers out there that can make this happen. Brothers and sisters. Especially, I'll say again, my Moorish brothers and sisters. We have a tenacity to whoop ass. And that's what we need to be doing. Bottom line. That's our freedom. That's our reparations. I'd like to open the floor for any questions of anybody. You see any questions? Anybody want to ask questions?
Sure. He said, if you're Aboriginal here, why would we say we are a nation within their territory?
We say that we're a nation within their territory because this is their territory. They have the guns. I can't stop the police. I have no military. This is the claimed territory of the United States. Whether I like it or not, it is a fact. It is a reality. So that's the thing that we as a people have to start doing, is stop living in the fantasy world, but live in the real world. Whereas real yes or no, real black or white, up or fucking down, real world life. That's where we are. So we have to recognize that as a people, that no, we can't get caught up on rhetoric of what we're called. We're called a nation that's outside of the jurisdiction of America. You're not. You're within the jurisdiction of the United States of America. We are not. That's why we win in these cases and you do not. It is simple. And we should stop being our worst enemy and letting pride and ego put us in places where we do not need to be. Not in this day and age. Everything is too vital right now. And we have to wake up real quick and we have to activate real quick. Was there another question?
Let me see. People are just saying they need help bad, and how can they join or get involved?
The questions that I'm hearing most is people wanting to know how to get involved and how to protect themselves. And I'll repeat it. Maipuri Arua Nation has the ability to protect. We don't have the manpower, but we have the ability, the legal ability to protect your land, your children, you. They have committed fraud against us. When they label your mother one race and label you another, or label your grandmother one race and label you another, that's called fraud. That's called identity theft. Somebody stole your identity, regulated by the Department of Vital Statistics and the Health Department of every state in the United States. That's where our fight is right now. That's the only fight that we're looking to engage in. But if we have to help a young brother or sister who's having a truly, truly dire situation, we're open for that. So don't think you're closed out from that, because you're not. But understand, your true remedy lies in your identity. That's the true remedy. Because once your identity is in a protected place, then you physically are in a protected place. It's acknowledged. And that's what we're looking to do. Create a level of acknowledgement for our people, for you, for me, so that you can function the way that I function, so that you can have these cases against you ended before you ever enter the court, because you're wearing the right ID, because that ID has a power backing it. It's not just some picture with some words on it. It's something real, something tangible that will keep the wolves off you, that will provide you with a protected jurisdiction. And yes, Chief RP says that I'm rough and rugged. Yes, I'm rough and rugged. I'm a badger. And understand, badgers don't stand unless they want you to make an attempt to attack their underbelly so that they can take you out, take you down, take you out. I'm standing badger, named by Chief Spotted Wolf of the Pinnacook of Maine. 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I'm Tushka Humak. That means warrior gatherer. My job is to gather warriors. And I am standing badger, one who helps the people. I thank everyone for taking part in this. Chief Sakatu, if there's anything you would like to say in closing to the people of the island territory or anyone else, we'd like to hear it.
Yes. I would like to say to all my brothers and sisters who understand indigenous rights, who understand the law, don't forget that they will press us, they will press us even though we understand the law and stand on our square. So we can't be timid and afraid to exercise our rights. Because if we can't stand on these things, then what else can we stand on? So I just want everybody to just take some time out to do some more research concerning law and how to conduct yourself as a man in this society, so that we don't always be the one that we picked up on and don't have remedy for these issues. And also, I just want to let you all know that our IDs are legit. These are IDs that we travel on. I've been traveling on the Maui indigenous ID for years now. So I would like us to actually, use those IDs more frequently so that they will be more recognized and that we will have less provocation when we encounter these officials. Thank you again, Chief. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And what Chief Sakatu is referring to is that the more we utilize our national ID, the more the nation of the United States becomes familiar with that ID. Its agencies become familiar with that ID. Not just for a few of us who are traveling, who've been traveling for the past 3 years freely. We've eliminated the problems with TSA and Homeland Security and Customs. We sued them, and they understand that we intend to put up a fight if they infringe upon us in the future. So they're in a stand down mode because we have international rights, freedom of movement that's provided by international law. And we exercise it. We exercise everything that's provided for us, us in international law. With our ID, if you need to travel to one of the territories that's not within the United States, we simply contact that territory on your behalf. We contact their embassy and have a communication with their embassy, and we send over the information that they request. And then you're free to travel to that country and free to leave that country. We need unification. We need to come together. We're all smart. We're all fighting and have been fighting to open up the pathways to gain freedom for our people. We have to come together so that what I have can be shared with you, and whatever you may provide can be shared with me. We have to share. We have to pull each other up by the straps. We can't leave anyone behind. We have to save each other. And that means providing information, treaty protection, and other things that are actively in place. I thank everyone for participating in this call, and I'll bid you all good day, safe weekend, and we will be communicating with you. We will be posting some of this online. Is it possible that that you can send me a request or something? I'd like to.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking for it. Okay, I see it. I'd like to that's a feedback.
That's me. Oh man.
I'd like to bring up a key player. You've constantly seen our Commissioner of Cultural Affairs constantly providing information, and I want to give credit where credit is due. I have been fighting these cases for a long time, independently and alone. And over the past 9 months, I would say that Commissioner Akua Ishak, she has become an elephant in the room. She has truly learned to communicate well with the courts, and her research is impeccable. She has truly found phenomenal statutes and codes and information, and she seemed to have mastered an area that I've not mastered. And yes, that's a lot for me to say. I'm just kidding, no, really. She's definitely worth her weight in gold. The cases that helped Chief Api, she was the primary researcher on that case. She's the primary researcher in the Dr. York land case, and she communicated well with the Attorney General for the state of Illinois. That was her communication. And so the nation is very, very pleased to have her as a part of our construct and family. And I open the floor and to Commissioner Akua Ishak.
OT, Aboriginal family, let me know if you can hear me. Yes, so happy to be here. And so, of course, he gave me so much credit, but obviously I'm a student of the Prime Minister, and he opened up the gateway of Aboriginal law and all the standing to me. And I took that platform and ran with it. But no, we're partners in this fight. We bounce off each other. And but yeah, we deep dive in that research. Well, first of all, just to let you know, yeah, I'm Akua Ishak, Commissioner of Cultural Affairs, also on the legal team. I'm known for my crystal jewelry designs, my fine art. I do world music as well, and also medicine woman. We have Atabey Virgin Island teas, which help with the self-healing of many maladies, including the ghost COVID, whatever they say that is. Anywho, But yeah. So when you're in your court case, you always need to keep your eyes wide open because there are constant violations going on, and that's what you pinpoint to hit the judge with violations, to hit the cop, whoever initiated the violations, because most times we're innocent and there's no probable cause, so they're rendering their color of law on us. And so we need to pay close attention to all the violations, and that's what we present to them, within the court presentments. There was no probable cause. Oh, the judge and the attorney, they're speaking outside the courtroom. They're acting in covenant against me. They are committing ex parte communications, which is against the law. Time and time again, they're all violating the Constitution and their own oath. So you got to keep your eyes open so that you can hit them where it hurts. Because, if you send a judicial misconduct complaint to their judicial system, they're going to get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So we fine tune their laws, and we also deep dive into international customary law as well, because they are all violating our human rights. And so when they violate our human rights, their immunity is gone. And so they can actually be punished, or, if you present the right violations, a lot of times they will let go of your case, or they will concede in a lot of cases. So we're fighting for your case. That's what we're going for, because number one, they do not have jurisdiction over you because you are Aboriginal. And so the prosecutor has to prove that they have jurisdiction over you. And so if you have protection underneath a sovereign government such as the Maipori Arua Nation, they have no standing. And then 9 times out of 10, they don't have even evidence against you. They have to have evidence to prosecute an Indian. And hearsay is not evidence permissible in court. If they don't have valid evidence of a crime being committed, they have nothing on you. So I just suggest all of you stand firm and try not to draw attention to yourself. Number one, don't speed. Don't make a habit of, going outside of the law for them to even come to you, because that is probable cause. So just be upright people, living in the spirit. But we are definitely here to help, and we've actually prepared a platform on Basecamp where we assist people in coming into their Aboriginal status, as well as supporting them in creating their tribal documents. And yeah, so all the resources are available to you. If you are interested, you can text or call us with your name and email address, and then we will send you more information on how to get involved on the Basecamp platform. And yes, it's a pleasure and honor serving all of you, our Aboriginal people, and we're standing firm and we're winning. And I'm so excited. Yeah, thanks for being a part of the journey. I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. And one thing that the Commissioner didn't mention is that she has embarked on meeting with the people of Chicago and the state of Illinois pertaining to establishing the first American Aborigine Museum in the city of Chicago. So that's a project that's underway that we will be addressing with the mayor in the upcoming weeks after we have completed our communication with the governor's office and the governor's attorney general. So again, I thank everyone for participating in this update of information from the Maipori Arauuan Nation. And I look forward to speaking to you again, and stay safe, and don't hesitate in delaying your protections that are completely available to you, to everyone. And I'll say this about existing tribal families that have large numbers that are not protected by treaty. We welcome you to the table. to enter into treaty with us to share in the treaty that we established, so that then you're now free to move about to establish further treaties with foreign countries on your own, independently. And this is what's needed. This is what's required for us to gain the type of freedom that we're seeking before all the ice melts and the flat planet does weird things and turns around. Anyway, I appreciate everyone, and have a blessed. I'm sorry, I don't use that word, but have a fortunate day. And I will look forward from this point seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Too.
In the upper right hand corner, it should say end. Does it say end live somewhere? A red button?